This is Gareth Southgate, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an independent England football supporters podcast. How are you? Hope you're good. Hope you enjoyed the recent episode where I spoke with Sunderland and England fan Dec Welch about his England journey. Bit of a giggle, that one. You could say what goes on an England away should stay on an England away. But Dec wanted to get that one off his chest. I enjoyed it. And I have some more of those coming your way soon. If you'd like to get involved and share your England journey, then just get in touch. We'll arrange it. Now, this is the preview episode for our final Euro 2024 qualifiers of the campaign. Of course, we cemented our place in Germany with that victory over Italy last month. That was a good one, wasn't it? Coming up, I'll be taking a look at Gareth's latest squad to take on Malta on the 17th and North Macedonia on the 20th. I've also got a great chat with someone who played in the last Wembley fixture between Malta and England. And I'll be catching up with Alex from the Macedonian Twitter account. But before that, England recently announced the fixtures for March of next year. I think it works out that every even year we have March friendlies, as we're not involved in either European or World Cup playoffs, and the Nations League begins in the autumn of the year. 2022 we had Switzerland and the Ivory Coast in March. There were no 2020 fixtures because of the pandemic. 2018, Netherlands away, Italy at home. 2016, Germany away, Netherlands at home. I could go on. However, as I said, 2024 have been announced. Unsurprisingly, both will be at Wembley. We play Brazil on Saturday 23rd of March and then Belgium on the 26th. That's the following Tuesday. It does make you wonder if the FA went through the alphabet working out who was available. Brazil and Belgium. But they are both ideal preparation for the Euros. Belgium, like ourselves, having already qualified. And by now, those Brazil tickets will have gone on sale to members. Belgium, still to be advised. As I say, both are at Wembley. It is a shame, but unsurprising. But it would have been an ideal opportunity to take one of these games elsewhere. I guess probably the Belgium one on the road. But Wembley it is. But I would hazard a guess to say that one, if not more, games pre the Euro finals will be taken on the road. You may remember Brazil were the first visitors to the reopened Wembley back in 2007, the game I was at. A last-minute Brazil goal, getting them a 1-1 draw. Do you remember who scored the goal for England that day? The first senior England goal? John Terry. But since then, Brazil have visited on two more occasions, 2013 when we won 2-1 and then in 2017 for a 0-0 draw. Then there's Belgium, a nation we've met on a few occasions of late, twice in 2018 at the Russia World Cup and then twice in the Nations League. Although I'll let you off if you'd forgotten those, as they were both behind closed doors and we lost one of them. There were quite a few rumours that Argentina would be one of the opponents in this window, but sadly that hasn't materialised. Makes you wonder if Lionel Messi will ever face England. Will he? Or will his career come to an end? Who knows? Anyway, nearer the time, I'll have a preview for both of them. But back to these upcoming games. Thursday, the 9th of November, Gareth once again announced his squad for the two upcoming games against Malta and North Macedonia. In fact, this squad, he's only got one more squad left to announce before he announces his squad for the Euros. Of course, he'll announce a squad for those games against Brazil and Belgium. And then it will be squad announcement time. So now is sort of the time that players are thinking, I want to be impressing Gareth. So anyway, this time it was a 25-man squad as opposed to a 26-man squad that he picked for October's matches against Australia and Italy. The differences being John Stones, who is out injured, and Callum Wilson comes in for Arsenal's Eddie Nketiah, who is injured. But I will just run through it before I touch on the other injury worries. So 3 goalkeepers, Sam Johnston, Jordan Pickford and Aaron Ramsdale. Defenders, Levi Colwill, Lewis Dunk, Mark Gay, Harry Maguire, Fikayo Tomori, Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker. Midfield, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Jude Bellingham, Conor Gallagher, Jordan Henderson, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice. And then up front, Jared Bowen, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, James Maddison, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, Ollie Watkins and Callum Wilson. It is a squad with 741 caps, 120 goals, with an average age of 25.7. As a squad selected from 4 from Manchester City, 3 from Arsenal, 2 from Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Manchester United and Newcastle, and 1 from Everton, Brighton, AC Milan, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Al Ettifaq, West Ham, Bayern Munich, Tottenham Hotspur and Aston Villa. Before we mention any sort of players that aren't in the squad, I just want to give a special mention to Harry Kane. I'm sure you know all about him, obviously, over in Germany, and you saw his goal from the halfway line the other week. Wow. Bavarian life seems to be suiting him right down to the ground. I bet he wished he'd gone sooner. I have to admit, back when all the rumours were going about, I think I said I didn't think he would go to another European country. But here is me eating my words here. As of this weekend just gone, he'd scored 17 goals. He has set a record in the Bundesliga for the most goals scored after 11 games. That well-known milestone. Apparently it was previously held by Robert Lewandowski back in 2019. But it is the exact form we need Harry Kane to be in. Let's also mention Jude Bellingham. In his first Clasico, scores both of the goals to win the game between Barca and Real Madrid. Seriously, does nothing faze him? Now, the squad that Gareth announced, he announced it on the Thursday. On the Friday, Tottenham's James Maddison pulled out. Now, he came off in that topsy-turvy game against Chelsea. It makes it, well, to me, it kind of makes it all a bit of a mockery. Surely consult him prior to the announcement. He had a couple of days, Gareth, to speak with James Maddison, or indeed the Tottenham medical staff. I don't understand why they would announce a squad with a particular player and then sort of the withdrawal before the weekend's fixtures have even taken place. It's just my 2 pennies worth on that one, really. Callum Wilson sustained a hamstring injury in Newcastle's game away at Dortmund in the Champions League. Bukayo Saka, also in the Champions League, picked up a knock against Sevilla, but did play at the weekend. Jude Bellingham, he sustained a shoulder injury recently for Real Madrid. And by all accounts, Reece James asked to be left out of the squad after he's sort of recovering from a hamstring injury. He came in as a sub, I think, recently for Chelsea. But I've got a bit of time for players standing up for themselves like that. I think we all know his capabilities, and we will certainly need a right back come next year. I don't think Reece James has ousted himself, as it were. I think he's just being sensible. But still no Raheem Sterling as of squad announcement day. Gareth said that the door is still open for him, and there is no animosity between them. There's no Mason Mount. Also no Ben White from Arsenal, despite Gareth saying there is nothing in the episode from the World Cup where Ben White went home early that is preventing him from being called up. But yeah, recording this little bit before the weekend fixtures have been played, so we'll see if there are any more withdrawals. So Monday morning came around following the weekend's fixtures, and it wasn't just changes in Rishi Sunak's cabinet that was making the news. Changes in the England squad too. Callum Wilson and Lewis Dunk joined James Maddison in withdrawing, and in their place came Ezri Konsa, Cole Palmer and Rico Lewis. Let's just take a quick look at those guys. Konsa, 26 years old, and some have said he should have been in the squad well before now. Centre-back for Aston Villa, 7 caps for the under-21s. Cole Palmer, he's someone I spoke about a while back when I recorded an episode with Gary from Channel England Football. That one was about the summer transfers of the time. He made a surprising deadline day deal to move from Manchester City to Chelsea. I think it was circa 40 million. Wonderful prospect. Still only 21 and has come through the age ranks. Scored a penalty to equalise in the last minute against Manchester City in that 4-4 game. Now he's actually eligible to play for St Kitts and Nevis through his father. So it's good that Gareth has swooped in there first. And Rico Lewis, bit of a versatile player for Manchester City and one who has been favoured by Pep Guardiola of late. Just 18 years old and another one who has come through the England age groups. Whether we'll see any of them take to the field in these next 2 games remains to be seen. But just being involved is a good thing for the future of the England team. Now, our next fixture is the home match against Malta on Friday the 17th. It's at Wembley. And no stranger to that fixture is Andrew Hogg, who played in goal for Malta against England back in 2016. And it's my pleasure to welcome Andrew to the Three Lions podcast. Hello, Andrew.
Hi, Russell. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm honoured.
Oh, no, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. You're over in Malta there. Whereabouts in Malta are you?
I live in central Malta, a place called Ormi. It's quite a big town, but I live in this kind of small kind of piazza with a lot of alleys, you know. Very, very typical Maltese area. I live in a very old house that we've done up recently moved in. We're happy. Let's put it that way.
Good stuff. You actually, you're born in England though, weren't you?
Yeah. I was born in Kingston,
right,
and we lived in Surrey, in Weybridge. I went to school at Parkside for a year, I think, and then moved back here when I was around 5 years old.
So is that your parents are Maltese or?
Yeah, so my father's half English, half Maltese. He was born over here. My mom's fully Maltese. I was born in England. My sister was born in England. And my dad used to work there for about 10 years. He was a stockbroker. And we moved back.
Okay. Do you have split loyalties when it comes to when England are playing a sport or anything, or football?
Yeah, I do. But then it's funny because then my mom is a heavy Italian supporter. I don't know if you know, but the Maltese culture is you're either an English supporter, or you're an Italian supporter.
Okay.
And the England and Italy kind of rivalry is possibly more loved than the Maltese national team itself.
Oh, right.
So I'll give you an example. The Euros. Was it Euros? Yeah, the Euros. England-Italy final.
Oh, yeah.
It was chaos.
Really?
It was chaos. Yes, absolutely. So very interesting. And my mom's an Italian supporter. She's got an Italian background as well, so it's quite funny. It's quite a funny family dynamic.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Well, you were the Maltese goalkeeper. I read 67 caps for Malta. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that, yes.
Wow. How did you get to become Malta goalkeeper? Talk us through your journey to being part of the national team.
No, look, I mean, I was always football obsessed. As I mentioned in Malta, when back in the 90s, early 2000s, football was all we spoke about. I remember the Panini stickers was our kind of substitution for PlayStation, basically. And, my idols growing up were Italian Serie A goalkeepers like, Sebastiano Rossi, Pagliuca, Peruzzi, all these great Italian goalkeepers. I remember a friend of mine had a pair of goalkeeper gloves of Zenga. They were Ulsport, they were black, they had yellow cobwebs on them. I remember them today, and it's a core memory of mine. And that was that's what triggered my love for goalkeeping. And basically, ever since I was young, and when people used to ask me, what do you want to do in life, and for me, it was going to be a professional football player. And and somehow through a lot of resilience and determination, I made that happen. Obviously, I'm conscious that the levels that I played on the Premiership or the Serie A, I mean, the highest level that I played was the Greek Super League, which I'm very proud of, because I mean it's quite a decent level league over there. So yeah, I look back at my career with a feeling of I could have played at higher levels, but also with gratitude that I made it to this, to the level that I did.
Nice way to look at it. Yeah, I get that. So did you play against the likes of Olympiakos and it was yes. Panathinaikos, I think, isn't it?
Panathinaikos, PAOK, yeah. Ofi. I remember. Do you remember? So I'm sure you've seen the meme of Gattuso when he goes, "Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit." Yeah. That was the time when I was there as well, and I remember we played in that stadium, and the Ofi Stadium. It's like a hot box. When you walk into the stadium, when the coach stops outside the stadium and you walk through, there's graffiti all over the entrance saying "Welcome to Hell." There's a Grim Reaper actually.
Really?
Graffiti of the Grim Reaper, "Welcome to Hell." And trust me, it is hell. But it's a hell that you go in and you say, "Come on, let's see what can happen here. Let's have some fun here." And I played some great games in that stadium. I was always excited. And then Gattuso came, obviously. And well, honestly, good times, good memories.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, good memories in a league capacity, but nationally, I'm sure you've got many great memories. But the one that obviously I got in touch with you to have a chat about is the 2016 fixture at Wembley, Malta against England. You played a blinder, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, looking back, yes, it was great. And, it's a funny one for me because I remember that when I left Greece in 2016, okay, in the February, and the fixtures came out that we were going to play in against England in Wembley around March, I believe, end of February, March. And in that moment, I spent some time without a club. Basically, there were issues in Greece, and the whole, you're writing to FIFA to get your release because you haven't been paid, and etc. Anyway, so I spent about a good 4 months without a club, and the fixtures came out, and I saw this game happening, and I used to play this game over and over and over in my head. And I had told, I was telling myself, listen, you're going to go and play in Wembley. But you're not just going to play in Wembley. You're going to leave Wembley as someone. Now, okay, saying that is a bit grandiose, maybe. But you're going to leave Wembley on a high. You're going to leave Wembley as the best player on that pitch, and I truly believed it. And I think that possibly triggered one of the starts to something that I do today. Today, I have a full-time job doing something that is not football related, but also I work as a sports psychologist. Okay. I work as a mental coach with athletes, with teams, and it's just kind of triggered a love of psychology,
Believing in yourself.
Yeah, it's. I believe in the law of attraction, and if you see it, you truly want it, you work hard towards it, and you just give off that positive energy, that good vibration every single day. And I truly believe that what you give out, you get back in life.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, looking back on that game, there's players that were in the England team that are still there to this day. Kyle Walker, John Stones, Jordan Henderson, Marcus Rashford. They didn't faze you then. Like when you're walking out of the tunnel, you didn't think, wow, these are Premiership stars. You've got that mentality of, I'm not letting you in.
No, I mean, for me, I mean, I was very aware that playing with the Maltese national team, you're an underdog, So my mentality was always a mentality of, look, I'm looking forward to these games, but I want to go down and see how good I am against these guys. I never saw myself as less than them. For me, every game, every match at that level was, okay, let's see what I can do. So it was always an exciting situation more than a fearful one,
Yeah. Is that how, I want to try and, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but is that how like a lot of the Maltese players, sort of their attitude is as well? Or can it be a little bit, I don't know, defeatist? I hope that doesn't come across the wrong way.
No, it's I understand what you're trying to say. And I think there is, I'm sure there is an element of defeatism, if that's the way to put it. Yes, for sure. I understand that as a Maltese outfield player, you're doing a lot of running, you're not touching the ball very much. Your spirits must be low. For me, it's different. I'm in goal. I'm keeping position. I'm focusing on the saves that I am making. And then slowly it starts to become exciting. If you're an outfield player, I suppose you're just trying to keep position. Limit damage. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't really tell. I've never really played out there, so.
You never went outfield?
No. I mean, yeah, I can play, but not at very high levels.
No. So
I think in today's age, I'd be good with my feet. I'd be not a big Fred. I'd be a Edison. No. But I'm okay.
Yeah, that is the way now, isn't it? The playing with your feet and playing out from the back. It's amazing how quickly the game has changed, really, since then.
Absolutely.
So, Joe Hart was your opposite number that day. Did you swap shirts with him?
I did, actually. It's sitting just up here above me as we speak. We did, and it was a funny one because obviously a huge name, and he was let's say not an idol, but someone I looked up to, and obviously it was in the back of my mind where I'd say, look, after the game, I'd love to. He came up to me in halftime and said, hey, he said, after the game we swap shirts, okay? And for me, that was it was wonderful. And then him and I we stopped to speak after the game, and then there was the home game where we met again. And he was honestly such a lovely, humble guy. And I mean, we do kind of stay in contact until today. So really, I mean, I love the humility about the guy, and obviously the journey. Actually, we've spoken a bit along the way, and I'm sure like. He has taught me quite a bit about his kind of mentality and the way he dealt with the setbacks that he's faced. You know, the kind of mentality of, listen, I'm giving my best right now. I'm trying to be the best me that I can possibly be. I work hard in training every day, and you know, the energy. I mean, the vibration. One day, well, good things will come back to me if I make, you know, remain consistent in my journey.
Oh, that's great to hear. That is how he is. I mean, is he still at? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Is he still at Celtic?
Yeah, he is.
He is. He's still there. He's getting Champions League football, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to be honest. I don't watch football that much anymore.
Really?
I don't know. I needed to, when I retired, I needed that kind of mental break. I needed to cut off and kind of experience some other things. So if I have to tell you after a day out of, I mean, at work or whatever I'm doing, do I come home and watch a Champions League match? No, probably not. I mean, last season, the only full match I watched from beginning to end was the Champions League final.
Okay.
And really simply because I liked the both keepers and I wanted to see how they function.
Do you think is that the way with many footballers? Once their time with the game is over, they walk away and just to put their hands to something different.
I don't know if it's. I mean, it's wrong for me to say many footballers, but I do know of a few that have had to do the same. Yeah,
I guess we just see those ex-players on the telly analysing games afterwards, and we see the ones who take the step to management, and maybe we sort of forget about the ones that maybe just drift off to do whatever their heart feels right for them.
Something that I found was once again, even though I didn't play at the heights of the Premiership and etc., when you're in it, okay, you kind of have this belief that the whole world is centered around the game and the league that you're playing, and your focus is so focused on you know, this small space of what you're doing. I used to be around my partner and my kids, and she used to tell me, my partner used to tell me, like, you're here, but you're not present with us.
Right.
So my mind was always either in the past or in the present, you know, the past game or what's coming ahead. And looking back, I was a super intense kind of player. I mean, I wanted, you know, I was an honestly fierce competitor. But looking back, today I live a much better and more kind of well-rounded life.
That's interesting to hear from your perspective.
Yeah. I sometimes I wonder how mentally healthy I was back then.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Just going on to the upcoming game. I don't know. I'm not sure who the goalkeeper is for Malta at the moment, but I'm sure you'll be well know how he's feeling. But what's the general feeling with Maltese football at the moment? And I noticed, like, the Nations League campaign, they've got some good results in that recently. There's got to be a little bit of a change, has it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're aware, but the coach has changed recently. A couple of years, let's say a bit over a year ago. A couple of years back, we had a really good coach in Davis Manja, who had given an identity to Maltese football. Finally given an identity, because in my time, there wasn't really much identity. It was defend for your life and kick the ball up. Yeah. I remember one time the Italian coach that we had, he came up to me, he said, listen, he said, if you have the ball in your hands and one of our guys is alone on the side, in Italian, he says, "Mandalo fanculo," tell him to fuck off, right? And kick up. And that was kind of the game plan. And looking back, it was sloppy. There was no identity to it. So now this guy came in and he gave more than identity. They started to try and play from the back. They started to try and do some. It was done really well, and the Maltese public started to get behind the team, and then the Nations League came, and absolutely, I'm aware that the Nations League opposition teams are not England and Italy and Spain, etc. But we did well. Now there's been a change in coach, and I feel that the energy around the team is not the same as it used to be.
Right.
But you know what? Listen, time will tell, and I'm all in for giving people a chance. They've brought in this new guy, this new coach. He's another Italian. I'm sure they saw some good in him. So, why not give him a chance?
Absolutely. It's all that evolution of the game, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not like we're winning World Cups before anyway.
You never know. You said that you're doing your sports psychology now, but I came about you. You've got a slightly different job now as well to go alongside that. Whereabouts are you?
Yeah, so I work in a family business. It's a bit more than a family business. Basically, my family are brewers, so to say, and they've created a brand new brew house that is kind of. I don't know how to explain it. It's a super modern factory, but then they've taken the old brew house, they've revamped it, kept all the old machinery, and made it into this really cool modern entertainment space. So it's a good mix of corporate and fun. So and basically what I do over there is I look after events, and once again, it's a new stage in my life, and I just love the whole evolution and the meeting new people and using my network and my contacts to make this place a success.
And you're enjoying it?
Yeah, I love it. I truly love it.
Is it seasonal? Obviously, Malta being an island, there, is it busier during the summer or?
No, look, in the summer we experience obviously more tourists, but the people tend to head for the seaside, obviously. All the action is around the beaches, etc. We are in the center of the island, literally 4 minutes away from my house, things really seem to pick up in the winter months.
When you say brew house, are you competing? Was it the local beer was Sisk, was it?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Sisk.
Oh, and that's what you're brewing, is it?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
There you go. The national beer then.
Yeah, the national beer. And I mean, I don't know. Are you aware of the soft drink, Kinney?
No, tell me about that.
It's a soft drink that my grandfather came up with back in the 50s, I believe. Maybe even earlier than that. Yeah.
What's that like?
It's like how am I gonna explain it?
Sell it to me.
It's like an orangey tangy. It's not like a Fanta. It's like a Kinotto. What's a Kinotto? I'll send you one. We'll do that. I'll send you a pack.
I look forward to it. Going back to the upcoming game, what would be a respectable result for Malta? What would they love to come away with? I could be a normal fan and say, the result is everything. I'm going to be a psychologist on this one and say, listen, I say, trust the process. Okay. I see it as in every individual needs to look at their process and see how they are going to perform to their maximum, right? And I think if everyone is trying to find success in their own ways before they find success in the result, kind of thing, right? Yeah. Then basically, if in simpler words, if the performance
right, is a good one, then, I think it's respectable.
I think they ought to get you on a team talk just before the game on a Zoom. Get you in the changing room.
Maybe they should fly me over.
Yeah. You'll be watching it on the telly though, will you?
Yeah, I should be.
Good stuff.
Probably.
Andrew, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Just giving us a little insight into your time playing and the fixture between the two nations. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Andrew there. Andrew Hogg, former Maltese goalkeeper who played at Wembley in that 2016 fixture. Go and have a look on YouTube at the highlights from the game and you will just see how much of a game he had. Now, before I bring in Alex from the Twitter account at @MacedonianFoot_, I'd like to talk a little about North Macedonia, as this will be our third trip to the country since it became independent in the Balkans back in September 1991. We met them in 2003 away in a Euro qualifier, winning 2-1 thanks to goals from Wayne Rooney and a David Beckham penalty. And 3 years later, in 2006, this was just after the World Cup, we met them for a Euro 2008 qualifier. Peter Crouch with the only goal of the game there. But I want to take you back to that first away game in 2003. This was where the FA declined an allocation of tickets for the fixture because of previous crowd trouble and the fear of it happening again and derailing the efforts to be at the Portugal finals. Now, according to the Guardian newspaper, the FA bought all 2,500 tickets and distributed them to local school children through the British Embassy. So the plan was to reduce this potential firestorm by making it harder for England fans to get into the fixture. Paul Barber, the FA's Director of Marketing and Communications at the time, said, "Anyone that does travel does risk having a banning order in the future. They will also be putting into danger our possibility of competing in Euro 2004. Match day, and the Macedonian authorities employ 1,800 police and security guards around the stadium to stop any potential trouble, check tickets and the like." However, well before the FA had announced this ticket ban, many England fans had arranged their travel to the country, and rightly so. And in doing so, they defied Paul Barber's advice. They found themselves in Skopje buying tickets from the black market. At the time, the stadium only held 18,000. These days, it's just over double that, the stadium being expanded somewhat. But back then, tickets were about £10 locally. Interestingly, this time around, for England fans, they're actually priced at £9.50. But back then, they were changing hands on the black market for around €100, £70 back then. Reading a BBC report the day after the game, on the 7th of September, it says, "England's clash with Macedonia has passed off without English fans being involved in any major violence or incidents. More than 500 fans are thought to have travelled to the game and bought tickets on the black market, despite pleas by the FA. They were controversially applauded by the players at the end of the match." To which David Beckham said, "You've got to acknowledge them because they've come a long way and spent a lot of money, even though they were warned not to come." Now, there was a moment within the stadium where an area of Macedonian support was seen burning a St George's cross during the national anthems. Fortunately, this didn't encourage any issue with the England fans who were there. But this is John Motson's reaction to that moment, with the game being shown live on the BBC.
Not so sure about that.
There is a great supporters written book that I've mentioned before. It's called England Till I Die, and it's edited by David Lane. You can pick it up, it's really cheap online. There is a written account by Steve Ramage of the game, who got his and his friends' tickets through a journalist, going via Thessaloniki in Greece and onwards by coach, which by coincidence is the same way I plan on going for this upcoming game. Although I'm hoping to actually see the game, unlike Steve and his friends. Seriously, check the book out and read the whole story for yourself. There is a little moment about the possibility of taking a tractor. Once again, here is John Motson describing the ticket situation.
Just going back to the ticket situation, 500 England fans estimated here have bought tickets on the black market for anything up to £100. Locally, the tickets were sold to Macedonians for £8 to £12, and because so many got onto the black market, there are some empty seats in the ground, which would normally hold 18,000. Frank de Bleckere of Belgium is tonight's referee.
One person who did get into the ground was Brighton fan Mark Raven. I've spoken to Mark before on the podcast, and he's given me permission to read out some of his blog from the time. And he too went via Thessaloniki from Gatwick with 30 or so other England fans. He caught the train to Skopje, and on crossing the border was met by passport control. They simply asked, "Are you going to the football?" They then stamped his passport and moved along. And when they got to Skopje, he was met by many Macedonians wanting to sell him their tickets. Fortunately, though, for Mark, he'd sourced his elsewhere beforehand. And despite the warnings of not going to the game, Mark found himself able to get into the ground with no issues. Lots of small groups of English funneling in with the locals. And whilst I think he was in the main stand, he mentions that he saw a large group of England fans were taken to a section behind the goal, where they managed to hang their St George's crosses. Inside, he had the opportunity to take plenty of photos. He tells a great story of when the national anthems were being sung by a couple of local singers, a grand piano was wheeled across the running track to accompany them. And he has the photo evidence of it. The only sour note being the racial abuse aimed at Sol Campbell and Emil Heskey. You can find Mark's blog at englandbrighton.blogspot.com. There's a couple more stories from the England supporters Facebook page of people who went. Richard Charlesworth says, 2003 was brilliant, apart from being held for 3 hours by the Bulgarian border force on the way in. There was good weather. The police made an away section for us, of which they were chanting, "We're supposed to be at home." Wayne Rooney's first goal was celebrated in front of them there, and apparently on the TV, Gary Lineker snidely commented that they shouldn't have been there. Richard says that there was very sensible policing at the end of the game, with the gate to the pitch opened so that the England fans could move to the centre circle whilst the locals left. Interesting. John Little, also on the Facebook page, he had already booked flights and hotels in 2003 before the FA said that they wouldn't be accepting any tickets, but they decided to go anyway. Got questioned at Skopje Airport, and John said that he was going to Lake Ohrid. I've heard of that. It looks really nice. Those border force didn't really believe him, but thankfully let him through. He got his ticket for the game from a guy selling them at a table in the market square. How times have changed, eh? It turned out that the ticket was the end where their ultras were, who robbed and burned the England flag. So John was in when the anthems were being played and when the Macedonians were burning the St. George's Cross. Dear. Fortunately, he just moved away from them, kept his mouth shut, and didn't have any further problems. He also went in 2006. Again, no problems then. Let's say 2006 was the next time we visited. Things had moved on a little then. We were given an allocation of tickets. It still, though, took some effort to get to not only the ground, but also the country. But once again, the result was in our favour. Although that was one of very few highlights in that qualification campaign. Now, it's time to welcome back to the podcast Alex from the Twitter account @MacedonianFoot_. Hello, Alex.
Hi, Russell. How are you?
Oh, very well, thank you. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So Macedonia is the last fixture of this European qualifying campaign for next year. England will be heading off to Skopje, and thought, this ideal opportunity to just chat again. Just remind us of your Macedonian heritage. Was it your father's side?
My father, yeah.
He's Macedonian.
From a town outside of Skopje, probably about 30 minutes drive from Skopje.
Oh, okay. So has he been over here long?
I think it's 30 years now, so
okay.
He's probably more English than Macedonian if you look at it that way.
Gotcha. But he's still very much Macedonian in his thoughts and feelings, is he?
Yeah, he's adapted some sort of English traits, but he's still sort of Macedonian at heart, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And have you picked up on any of those yourself?
I'll probably say like the stubbornness and things like that, yeah. But on the mentality, luckily he and me have got more sort of an English mentality, which serves you a little bit better.
Gotcha. Well, on the pitch, the last time we met was back in June time up at Old Trafford, wasn't it? Was it a game you went to?
No, I didn't in the end, which is quite fortunate, really. I would have liked to have gone just the experience of seeing them play at Old Trafford, but it's a game to forget, I think.
Yeah, I seem to remember that for the away tickets, you were saying that the Macedonian FA were sort of messing around and taking their time in issuing tickets. Was that right?
Yeah, I think they left it sort of right to the wire a week or two before, like they've done previously when we played away in Italy, I think.
Right.
For the semi-finals of the World Cup. They only released them, 1.5 weeks before the game, which is pretty ridiculous considering you've got to book the flights and everything. So they do tend to leave it to the last minute.
Well, absolutely. It's something that England fans can sympathise with because they left us hanging for quite some time for away tickets. Initially, I think initially they said that they were going to give England fans around 1,900 tickets, but that was only a little while ago, and it was only when I think when you lost to Ukraine did they then say, "Oh, you can have another." I think it worked out about another 600 or 700 tickets, but there's quite an away end there. In the ground, and there's going to be a lot of England fans, I think, rattling around in quite a large away area.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest, I had not seen that away side fully full since 2017 when it wasn't even Macedonia. It was Man United, Real Madrid in the Super Cup final. Oh, yeah. That sort of says how bad the attendance is, and a lot of away fans wise, sort of countries you play, and they do travel, but not as much as sort of the England fans are known for. So it'll probably be the first time that section is pretty much full.
Mm. There was a picture of when Italy went to Macedonia for a recent game, and I think there must have only been about 150, 200 Italian fans within a huge area behind the goal. It looked very non-league, put it that way.
Yeah, it looks a bit. Then and the sort of colour of the seats is all washed away, and it looks a bit like old-fashioned sort of times, if you know what I mean, like an old photo.
Yeah, an old sofa. Yeah. So I mean, the game in at Old Trafford, 7-0 to England. Was that where it all began to go wrong for Macedonia? Because you were doing quite well and were almost giving Ukraine and Italy a run for their money for qualification. Would that be a sort of safe thing to say?
I would probably disagree with you, but sort of from your side and anyone outside of Macedonia, I think that might be a fair point. But sort of within Macedonia, within the fans and sort of following it, it felt like sort of a result like that was coming, sort of thing. We've kind of last couple of years we've disappointed in the Nations League in a group that we should have won really, and we should have gave a better account for ourselves. And the coach, a lot of people aren't a fan of, and the performances just haven't been good at all, sort of thing. And since the England game, actually, the performances against Ukraine, Italy, Malta, and a friendly against Armenia, they picked up massively, and we probably have been playing the best football we have under Milevski since the England game.
Okay.
So from the outside point of view, it might look like we were doing well, but from an inside point of view, it was the worst we've been for 7 years. And now it seems to have picked up a little bit, but people still aren't a fan of the coach. And I think last week it got announced that he's likely getting a 2-year contract. And under my tweet, 100% of the responses were all negative. I don't think anyone is happy to see him stay for a further 2 years. But I know a lot of the players and the sort of people close to the team, you know, agents, stuff like that, actually really like the coach and think he's really good. So it's actually a bit of a sort of divide between the fans and the players. But I try not to voice my opinion on the coach because I'll be in the minority, because I actually kind of wanted to stay after the last couple of international breaks.
Well, that's the thing. If you're picking up a couple of good performances and a couple of good results, then you can almost see it's almost like a turning point, maybe.
Yeah, I think the problem is sort of the trust. We've been here before a couple of times when we beat Italy, then we lost to Portugal, which is not anything we sort of hold against him. But we were kind of expecting to kick off from there, and then obviously the Nations League followed, and we were absolutely terrible. So I think people probably don't sort of have the trust. We're struggling to sort of score goals when, like against the Ukraine, we had a really strong performance. They started well for the first 25 minutes, and then they scored a deflected goal. We piled the pressure on. We had 4 or 5 really good chances. We just didn't score. Ukraine defended well, had a few chances in the second half, and then they just won it in the 90th minute 2-0. And it just felt like on a different day, maybe we can get a result. But that we've been saying that quite a lot, if you know what I mean. So it's like maybe we just aren't good in that sense.
Do you think that Italy game, the famous one we beat them, has that kind of put a sort of a twisted narrative on Macedonia? Or do people think, like from the outside, maybe myself, that they're beating Italy, they're a better team than maybe you actually are? Obviously, you got to the Euros as well, didn't you?
Yeah. Again, I would say it's more from the outside. We get the sort of from obviously you, like you're appreciating how our performance is and our results, and I would say that's fair. But from the inside, again, I feel like maybe we expect too much, just because of the last 3 or 4 years we've had. Obviously, going to the Euros, we beat Germany in Germany, we beat Italy, got against Portugal. I feel like maybe at times our expectations are a little bit too high. Obviously, we're in sort of a golden generation, and when you compare our players to even, you know, the likes of not even big nations, but ones like Poland, let's say, who play, it's not even comparable, the squad. It's just probably speaks how much we've overachieved, the fact that we probably feel entitled to better results, better performances. And I think sometimes we need to probably think back 5-6 years ago and realise how bad we were to how we are now, and just be happy with what we are now instead of expecting more.
Yeah, no, I get that. Well, you've got these last 2 games in the campaign for yourselves are Italy away and then England at home. obviously you'd like to finish the campaign on a high. What do you think would be a good result for the manager? You get 3 points out of that, 4 points maybe?
I think first of all, hopefully not losing 7-0 to England again would be a positive. But I think I would say just a point would make us sort of happy, because Italy, I think they're going to want revenge after, or they're obviously trying to fight for qualification right now. So it is a massive game for them. And I think we've obviously done enough damage to them over the last 3 times we've played them. So I think if we'll get a point against Italy, definitely. But I think the England game, I think England are probably the best nation against the lesser nations. In games you expect England to win, I think there is no one who is better than England. So I would be happy with a point over the 2 games, I would probably say, and just not to concede a lot of goals and embarrass ourselves again.
Fair enough. Well, we shall see how it all unfolds.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be my first trip to Macedonia and to Skopje. I know. I think in this instance, you're not going to the game, are you?
No, I'm not.
No. But you've been obviously back to Macedonia before. I just wondered if you can maybe tell us a little bit about the city and the stadium, and just what it's like there. Any local delicacies to try out?
Yeah, absolutely. Skopje is a nice city. It's a big city, quite like sort of densely populated within Macedonia, but the centre is very, all sort of stone. There's a lot of statues. So if you're into your sort of history and statues, there's a lot to see and a lot to read. There's a bridge with about 100 statues on it. Wow. But there's also the old bazaar, which has a lot of very nice restaurants, which I normally, every summer when I get back, I definitely have a few meals in the old bazaar. Sort of old Turkish style houses and roads and shops and restaurants. And then the stadium is only, which is quite nice, about a 10-minute walk from the centre, and it's quite a straightforward walk. You just walk sort of on one road and you end up at the stadium.
Right.
With the stadium is, as you mentioned earlier, it's about the Italians. The standard of the seats and everything is a little bit derelict. We've recently actually installed a new pitch, because after part of the reason we got a point against Italy was we were literally playing on a cow farm. That the pitch had been neglected for that long because the federation and the sort of city council couldn't decide whose job it was to look after the pitch, whose job it was to to keep the upkeeping of it, and it basically just got left. And if it rained when we played Italy as well, and like it was like you find a better pitch, go and watch under 11s in England somewhere, and it was absolutely horrific. And Italy and Spalletti used that as an excuse, which is fair enough, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
It's not like, I'm honestly surprised that the game was allowed to go on. It should have been probably moved to a different stadium. But since then, the federation have decided they're going to pay money and lay a new pitch, which I believe is laid already. And I think it's 70% artificial and 30% grass. So hopefully the upkeeping of it will be a little bit easier. But I think this will be the first game that gets played on the new pitch. So let's hope it's been installed correctly. Otherwise, knowing the history with the stadium, it would surprise me if there's some sort of issues with it still. But it's quite a straightforward walk. And then I would say for delicacies and sort of food, there's a lot of meat to choose from. There's one of my personal favorites called tavci gravci, and it's like sort of beans in this tomatoey sauce, which is quite popular around there. There's a lot of meat and a lot of stuff to choose from, so I advise probably go into the old bazaar. There's a couple of restaurants in there that sort of do a wide range of specialities, and it's quite well priced. So I would just advise go in there, ordering a big meal. It's not too expensive, and you can kind of try everything and see what you like.
And for those that like a beer, what's the beer of Macedonia?
There's 2. Okay. There's Skopje, which is quite a stronger taste, and then there's Zlatan Dab, which is a bit of a sort of a smoother one. Zlatan Dab's my favourite. Okay, but they're both really good.
Zlatan Dab, and what was the name of the food there with the beans?
Tavci gravci.
Tavci gravci and Zlatan Dab.
Yeah.
And I shall try.
It's a good combination.
Yeah, I'll try those out. Really, really looking forward to going and exploring a new city. Obviously, throw in a game of football as well.
Yeah.
just tell us where you can find yourselves on Twitter and how long you've been doing that for.
Yeah, my Twitter is @MacedonianFoot_. I've been doing Twitter for about 7 years now. I started it when I was in secondary school with my friend. He was Moroccan, and we both decided we sort of, loved our country's football sort of thing, and we thought there wasn't that much coverage of it, so we both started an account. I got 3-4. It was after the Euros. It got suspended, my account, for copyright because of some old videos I shared.
Oh, yeah.
And sort of, what Twitter's like. You can't actually. I couldn't find a reason for ages. You can't appeal it, and it is my own fault as well for posting these videos. But it was for a video I posted 2 years ago, sort of thing. Like in 2018, I got banned in like early 2021.
Oh.
But then since I made a new account and I've been back doing this one. I created this one in July 2021. So I make sure I don't post any videos now. So
toe in the line now.
Yeah, so I've learned my lesson, but it was never about followers. I just do it because I enjoy it. Sort of
Absolutely, thing. Yeah. And what was it? Your friend does a Moroccan one as well.
He did do, but I don't think he doesn't do it anymore.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I was going to say if when England next get drawn against Morocco, I'll have to
in the World Cup maybe.
Yeah. I'd say after. Was it Morocco in the World Cup recent in Qatar?
Yeah, they did quite well.
They did, and I was wondering that England would maybe tap up on a friendly against Morocco.
Yeah.
Who knows? Alex, thank you very much for your time. It's very much appreciated. Everyone go and have a follow of the Twitter account there and just keep up to date with the game coming up. Thank you very much for your time, and yeah, who knows? We maybe meet again.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
There we go. Thank you to Alex there for the guide to Macedonia and a little wander around Skopje. Getting quite excited now. Thank you also to Andrew Hogg for his time. Really grateful for that and really interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, I'll be back with you very soon to review these games. I've also got a couple more of your England journeys in the pipeline. And I've also been to Canning Town in London for a future episode. This is quite important. It's a story that really needs to be heard. And I'm hoping you can hear it here on the Three Lions podcast. Stay subscribed and you won't miss it. If you are heading to Wembley for the Malta game, or indeed Macedonia, safe travels. Perhaps I'll see you there. If you're watching from the comfort of your own home, enjoy it as well. So until the next time, take care of yourselves. Cheers.